Donald Trump, the candidate, ran on bread and butter issues such as keeping groceries down, keeping inflation down, generally trying to help out the little man in this country. But what we've seen 3 months into his administration is that he's followed through on absolutely zero of the promises that he made to lower and middle class Americans when it comes to helping them out economically. But what he has done is he's embarked on frivolous, reckless trade wars that are absolutely set to hammer the American economy. And we've seen him embark on a mission to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, something that, as Harry Enton will point out later in the video, very, very few Americans actually give a crap about. And let's go ahead and watch Jim Acosta here, absolutely just taking it to Chip Roy.
So the House of Representatives just voted for a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. We're trying to figure out why anybody would want to waste their time on something like this, so we tried to chase down some Republicans to find out why they voted yes. Congressman, can I ask you about this Gulf of America thing? Why did you vote for that? Why do you care? Why not focus on the stuff that people care about?
I explained this in the Rules Committee. I was very clear about it. Why do Democrats care about their freaking pronouns and all their social media? Why do Democrats want to talk about birthing persons? Why do they? Because
yeah, but it's the Gulf of Mexico. It's called the Gulf of Mexico. Aren't you just doing Trump's bidding? Isn't that what this is?
Who are you?
My name is Jim Acosta. I'm a journalist here in Washington. I'm asking a question.
I know. And why are you focusing on this?
I'm asking you that question. Why? I mean, because you just spent the time of the House of Representatives to vote on something that people aren't going to call it Gulf of America. They're going to call it Gulf of Mexico.
Jim, what do you think we're spending time on today? Undoing the damage of the Biden administration, trying to save people's lives in Texas who are dying because of the Biden administration's policies.
What damage? The economy was moving in the right direction. Now the stock market is tanking.
Jim,
the economy is contracting.
His daughter was murdered by Trinidad and Agua. Go talk to her about
what does that have to do with Gulf of America, and what does that have to do with fixing the economy?
Well, because right now what we're doing is undoing the damage of the Biden administration, who was killing Americans, and by the way, who are damaging Americans with his ridiculous inflationary economy. That's the truth.
The inflation, as you know, the inflation numbers were moving in the right direction. You know that.
The inflation that was being driven up by Biden with their rampant spending was destroying the net worth of American people, destroying the dollar, and making it impossible for American people.
The fact of the matter is, you'll just vote for anything Trump says. Isn't that right?
Yeah, prove that.
I wanted to ask about stock.
Wow. I can't quite hear what he said there at the end, Chip Roy, but you heard Acosta just say, isn't it just the truth that you'll vote for absolutely anything that Donald Trump wants you to vote for? And yes, that is the truth ultimately. And you see Chip Roy here be asked a very simple question of, why is this something that you are focusing on? And he can't answer the question. He has to go to why are the Democrats doing this? Why are the Democrats doing that? Biden. Illegal immigrants murdering Americans. Like, holy crap. That was a whirlwind of Republican talking points in such a short amount of time. It's like they're like programmed. They have like these like, it's like a reaction, like a natural reaction they have to feeling uncomfortable whatsoever. It's like, oh yeah, start talking about illegal immigrants murdering people, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with the question being asked and is completely out of context. Doesn't matter to these Republicans that have absolutely no shame whatsoever. So now we'll look at Harry Enton breaking down the numbers of just how few people are actually invested in this Gulf of Mexico renamed to Gulf of America. And on the other side, I'll kind of say why I think so few people are really invested in this.
How is this whole Gulf of America launch
going? Since the president started, how much has it seeped into the consciousness?
Let's just put it this way. It has bounced. It's like I'm wearing waterproof clothing. If the water was coming down on me and it was Gulf of America, it bounces right off of me. It has gone horribly. This bounce is terrible. Take a look here. Has more Google searches since Trump's proclamation 3 months ago on February 9th. It's a 72 Dolphins blog. Gulf of Mexico has been more searched in 50 states. That is all of them versus the Gulf of America. 0 states, none of them. Plus, I should point out the District of Columbia has more searches for the Gulf of Mexico. So the bottom line is, despite whatever Trump wants to say at this particular point, when it comes to what Americans are actually using, they are sticking with the old name. They are sticking with the Gulf of Mexico. They are not, in any state, going with the Gulf of America. It is 50-0, a blah in favor of the Gulf of Mexico over the Gulf of America.
So when you're going into Google to search for whatever that body of water is called underneath, Alabama, Mississippi, and by Florida there, people in every state are typing in this instead of this.
That is exactly right. In every single state, more folks are typing Gulf of Mexico in order to search for that body of water underneath our southern border compared to the Gulf of America, 0 states.
All right, that's Google searches. What about the polling?
So what about the polling? Because sometimes people might be searching for the poll, searching on Google, but that doesn't necessarily implicate what they actually feel about the issue. On this particular one, it does. It does. It very much lines up. Rename the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Look at this. 67% of registered voters in the United States, according to a March Fox News poll, say that they oppose renaming the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Just 31% of Americans favor, and I should note, even 36% of Republicans oppose it, despite the fact that there was near uniformity when, in fact, the House GOP lined up behind the change of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. But when it comes to the American people, 2/3 oppose, and that is very rare because in our politics, you rarely get 2/3 of Americans to agree upon anything, but they do oppose the idea of renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
So this issue, it's motivating for whom?
Yeah, exactly right. This is the whole thing. Okay, you see all those House Republicans line up, right, John? You say, okay, maybe this is a thing they really want to get behind Donald Trump. When it comes to the American people, makes you very motivated to vote. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico, making it the Gulf of America. 34% of Democrats say it makes them very motivated to vote, compared to just 18% of Republicans. The bottom line is Donald Trump has been trying over the last 3 months to sell this idea that we're going to make the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, but there is no indication that is actually seeping in to the American consciousness. You see it here, it motivates Democrats more than Republicans. You see it here, 67% of Americans oppose the idea, and you see it in the Google searches as well. You see that people simply put are not going along with Donald Trump in every single gosh darn state. More folks are Googling Gulf of Mexico than Gulf of America. There is no sign that this is working out and Trump is changing people's minds, Sean.
Wow. So the name Gulf of America is not sticking when Donald Trump is continually trying to shove it down people's throats and make them take their medicine and like it in terms of renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. It's still the Gulf of Mexico in the American psyche's mind. And now what we're seeing in those numbers is that so few people find this to actually be a motivating issue. And in a time when people are reeling from the effects of Trump's tariffs on the economy, and in a time when it's being warned that we could see empty shelves within weeks due to Trump's unnecessary trade war, what is Trump doing here? He's focusing on stuff like renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. This isn't what he campaigned on. This isn't what people voted him into office to do. 67% of people oppose renaming the Gulf of Mexico. That is absolutely astounding. As Harry Enton said, you don't get 67% of America agreeing on practically anything. And what Donald Trump's wanting to do here, he's wanting to create this vision of a new age of American exceptionalism and Americans being proud of their country and America being on top in the world's view, and everybody looking at Trump as a strong leader who is doing, strongman things on the world stage, and people aren't buying it, right? People are not buying Donald Trump's brand of American exceptionalism that he wants people to believe. People aren't seeing it. People aren't believing it. And when the rubber hits the road, what's actually happening with this administration is Donald Trump is set to make life for lower and middle class Americans much harder in this country. And he's trying to do that at the same time while passing it off that this is actually good for you, and don't believe your eyes, don't believe your ears, believe what I am telling you. And that's pretty much what the majority of the House of Representatives, the Republicans in the House of Representatives, have done. Because again, this isn't an issue that, as Harry Enton pointed out there, that Congress people in the House of Representatives are hearing from their constituents back home that they are motivated by, with only 18% of Republicans saying that this is a motivating issue for them. That is astounding given how much Donald Trump has talked about this, and people aren't picking it up. People are concerned about the future of the economy for very, very good reasons. And Donald Trump attempting to distract the American people with nonsense like this is not working. And man, oh man, imagine if we could have a reporter like Jim Acosta following around the Republicans in Congress, putting a microphone in their face and blasting them on every single day, on every single vote that does not actually do anything that Donald Trump campaigned on. We need to have reporters doing exactly what Jim Acosta did here in that clip. And yeah, it's a bunch of nonsense. People aren't buying it. And unfortunately, we have a president that does not seem very motivated whatsoever to accomplish the things that he campaigned on.